Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm the host, Sean Boyce, founder of Podcast Chef. I'd like to welcome my guest to the show today, Jit Hinchman from Supply Chain Advisor. Hello, Jit. How are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you, Sean? Thank you for having me here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, doing very well. I'm very excited to talk more about your knowledge and expertise as it pertains to what we talk about on this show. But before we get into that, if you could, to familiarize yourself with our audience, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you came to be doing the work that you're doing today?
Absolutely. So I am Jit Hinchman, founder of Supply Chain Advisor. I first experienced supply chain when I was working for Mattel. That when I first, certainly fall in love with it. I had engineering background, but when it comes to supply chain, you need to apply both business knowledge and also operation as well together. So it's have the right mix, solve the problem, people for all kinds of departments and, companies and all that. It's certainly fun for me. And over the years, I get into the consulting by, accidentally, helping someone that want help and no one wanted to help her. And I did not know that she was a business owner. And a week later, she approached the university that I taught at the time that she wanted me to be her business consultant. That started off my journey. And it's had so much fun. You meet all kind of people, different backgrounds, different cultures, different countries. It certainly set off my path. And here I am today, a founder of the Supply Chain Advisor. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's super cool. And it's a big passion of mine as well, too. And it sounds like a little interesting to say that you're passionate about that, but we have similar backgrounds, mine's in engineering. And I was always fascinated by operations management, which was one of my favorite courses in my graduate level curriculum, and talked a lot about supply chain. And obviously, given the nature of what's changed throughout the pandemic, there is a significant amount of discussion around supply chain. So I can imagine you've probably been pretty busy.
It's pretty much busy with the question that they have, what's going on and what can, some companies certainly would like to find a solution instead of stuck with, I cannot find my raw materials, my operation is stuck and, some parts of the operation that I need, some automotive or some, service company that, the repair shop and all that. I cannot get the parts for your car, your car got the need to, those kind of things, all kind of issue that people want to know what to do. And in some ways that, it put supply chain and logistic people at the forefront of the attention, because we usually be in the background, right? People don't know that what we do. And most of the time we enjoy, solving the problem behind the scene. And until nothing show up at the shelf, or, when toilet paper run out and people talk about supply chain and, it's just interesting to see. And you are right. A lot of companies would like to know what other solution they need to do in order to maintain the operations, to keep running, even during the disruption and all that. So this is not the first time that we have the disruption. It's just different that, the world is become more connected through social media, through internet and all that. People pay more attention, people learn from one another more, and things happen across the world and instantly change from the other side of the world, make people in many countries aware of what's going on. So I think that change, in terms of scale, is also, the disruption happened for both supply and demand. It's kind of free state. We deal with a lot of disruptions in the history, but then again, I have faith in the people in the industry that we are pretty much resilient. We still have on the shelf, we still have medicine, we still have vaccine and all that. So it is pretty much the nature of the work, really. So
well said. That I've only studied for the most part some of these issues from the outside looking in, but I've interacted with them a little bit myself as a consumer. And it's, to your point, this isn't the first time the supply chain has been disrupted, but perhaps maybe this significantly in such a short period of time. And like you said, from all angles. So it really is very interesting in how it gets tested, and you can find the weak points in where we thought were perhaps we had built resiliency into the process or the procedures, and now not so much, right? Kind of the whole table's been turned upside down. So probably need to do a little bit of rethinking there.
Right.
Yeah, well said. And I know before we kind of get into the main topic of the show, which is, business development related to strategies that you've found to be effective for you, I wanted to tell a quick story about a resource that we typically talk about at the end of our show, but it's something we connected over. And it's something that I read as part of one of my favorite books that I would still recommend today, called The Goal, in that graduate level operations management curriculum. And apparently there's a cooler story there, which I want you to tell, because I never knew that. I always thought, it was largely like fictitious kind of rendering. But anyway, share a little bit more with us about that, if you will.
Well, The Goal is certainly one of the best selling business book, novel business, really. So what makes it unique is certainly the book Eli Gold read, the other feature Alex Rogo. He is a character in the book. His fight to save his plants, and also, introduce people to the theory of constraints. So he also share a lot of insights and all that. I had the privilege to meet with him in person, introduced by Professor Ray. They are here in South Bend, Indiana. So it was pretty much insightful session, and it's rich, and the insightful that he shared with the people in the group is just amazing. If you love the business operation management and engineering or the business, the charm of the business that you need to keep evolving, keep solving problems, keep the business running, you certainly would enjoy that session. So he certainly encouraged people to apply the theory of constraints, Lean and Six Sigma in unison. Because in order to see the result, you need to keep track on everything and make everything work together, right? Alignment and all that. So that part was pretty much the highlight of my year. In that year, like 3 years ago, that I met him. But certainly down to earth, and certainly very, very honest. Like brutally honest. Share with and all that. And we discuss into a lot of companies don't even know that sometimes they don't use the accounting system that actually help their business. So we discussed into that, and it certainly was fun, and I certainly to read that kind of story as well. The Goal is a good book, John. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, it's such a cool story. I never knew that there was more to the story than you can read in the book. But as Jit is mentioning, as I am as well, definitely recommend getting a copy and reading that book if you haven't before, for anything related to business, in particular, Jit's area of expertise in supply chain and operations management. So thank you for sharing that story. And, what we were hoping to talk more about on the show is related to, for your business, Jit, what you have basically invested in that has provided kind of results that you're looking for from a business development perspective. And what we talked about previously was speaking. So I'm curious to hear you talk more about this as a topic, as an opportunity to provide, business development progress, what your process may look like, what that looks like now, what the plans are for what's coming next. But great place to start would be to learn a little bit more about that strategy in terms of how well it's worked for you.
Absolutely. So I like to bring back the background in terms of business development. So I did that part for many other companies before I start my own business. And it's different when you work for other companies. Their brand already developed, right? They already have the clear strategy, what product and service they want to offer. And in terms of, knowing, even, you start the new field of business for them. You still need to familiar yourself with industry that you are in. You need to know your environment. You need to know who are the players, right? You need to know the rule. You need to know what works and what don't work, and how you can, differentiate yourself from the other brands or from the other product and service similar to what you offer. And you need to find your strength from there. So when you start your own business, you need to consider all kind of elements into what. If you start from scratch, your brand is not there yet. You need to develop the brand. You need to make sure that people understand what you're doing, and also build trust and all that. It's certainly important. What you do is certainly your brand, right? Who you are is certainly your brand when you started out. And you can certainly lay out the background, what you want to aim and what you want to do. So, but one thing that I think Sean can relate it to this as well. One thing that being, entrepreneur or doing your own business, one thing that we receive directly is one of the most valuable thing in life, which is we have the control of our time. We know how to, use or spend our time in such a way that we see the value in it. So that said, not everybody want to want to do that, right? If you have the curiosity and you want to learn and you enjoy exploring the area that's not unknown to you, so certainly you have potential to do it there. And when it comes to speaking, it is a part of building brand. It is a part of building the awareness to the public. Let people know who you are and all that. For me, again, it's accident. Really, it's accident that I have the opportunity to speak. I was invited to be the panel discussion for sharing my expertise with the student in universities, and I was so frustrated because I never like to be in the the light of the public. I certainly enjoy the conversation, one to one, or the people that I close to. It was like laugh and all that, and it's okay, right? It's different when you speak with a person that you're familiar with, you're comfortable with, or put in front of a few hundred people, and it's certainly different. And people will say like, you'll be fine, they just they would just ask the question and you just answer for what and I was nervous and all that, but they were right. It's just you just talk to them like the way you talk to one person or the person that and if you have intention to certainly help them and want to make their life a bit better after they know you certainly will do fine. And what I find the benefit in your speaking for the business is that some host or some organizer will reach out to you and invite you to speak, and in that case they would share the information of the audience and all that, and you can use it as lead as well. So you build relationship from there, and people will see you as the person that they hear you talk, they hear your insights. And from what I heard from the audiences, I love the insight that you share. It certainly help. And when you receive the feedback that, hey, I like what you say about that, this idea and apply to my work and it works. So that was the starting point that this is beyond just speaking. This is beyond just doing things or, building my brand. It certainly helped people. And for me, that is the value that I feel like it is something worth doing. So,
well said, for sure. I've done a bit of speaking myself over the course of my career thus far, and I never regret taking a speaking engagement, essentially whatever it may be. It is a great opportunity to build yourself as an authority, to connect with an audience, to demonstrate your area of expertise, because a big part of it is getting that message out there, right? And letting people know what you know, and they start to connect the dots between the problems they have and how you may be able to help them solve them. So speaking can be really powerful, really beneficial. And I'm curious to learn more from you, Jit, as well, too, in terms of how that has changed throughout the course of the pandemic, because previously I was doing quite a bit of speaking actually in person. And then throughout the course of the pandemic, of course, everything for the most part went virtual, like you or I are interacting now. I'm curious to know how that strategy for you has evolved, given the nature of how those events seem to have shifted. I know some of the in-person stuff's coming back now, but quite a bit of it is still virtual. So I'm curious to get your take on that too.
Yes, it certainly have more. You certainly
Right.
have more opportunity to speak. The virtual world, and through Zoom, through other platform that certainly help people connect with each other. Which in some ways, I will never met you in person if we are still under the pandemic and all that, or people in the other country or continents that they reach out, or we interact each other. So for me, it certainly have more opportunity in terms of speaking opportunities during the pandemic, which is, people want to learn and use this time to reflect and see, brainstorm with other people as well, to solve their business and a lot of the transition and some people see it as disruption. Some people see it as the mark of the beginning of the new era. So it depends on what you see, right? And it depends on it reflect the plan or the strategy that you want to move forward in terms of strategy, in terms of plan that you see yourself or your business in the future. So I think it's certainly for the speakers or people that see this as opportunity. Don't you think so? You see the same thing?
Definitely. Yeah, that's been my experience as well. And I think it's actually helped. I mean, and from one perspective, you might think that, especially if you're doing quite a bit of speaking in person previously, that throughout the course of the pandemic and events being canceled creates, a particular barrier to what was a successful strategy for you before. But I think in reality, to your point, I've seen almost the opportunities multiply of sort, because there's much more efficiency in the process now. We don't need to necessarily move back and forth between point A and B or visit something physically in person. And instead, the virtual tools have come quite a long way in creating sometimes even a better experience. And it was a lot of people, myself included, may prefer for the occasional in-person type of an event. But if I'm speaking or want to be listening to someone talk more about a particular area of expertise, being able to do so virtually, or even after it having been recorded, essentially makes it much more convenient for me as a consumer to be able to, be able to learn the information and consume it, essentially. So I've seen it as more of an advantage. I'm also curious to learn from you, Jit, in terms of, for those of us out there that want to get more involved in speaking and leverage that for business development purposes to grow our respective consulting practices, what is the best advice you have for folks that kind of want to get started in that and haven't done much of it previously?
I would say, for me, I would like to relate it to what worked for me. For me, I love supply chain, and I believe in the power of good business, because, good business nurture the world more. In terms of, I used to be very, very shy. I am still shy in some way, but, I think that, the message that can help people is overpower the fear that I'm afraid of, speaking or being in front of, the audiences and all that. So I am still nervous, for every event that I speak. But when you see the result, one of the event that I see, and I did the analyze the data. It was 51 countries. It was from 51 countries that listened to my my session. I was like, wow, that I can never achieve that. If I'm still doing that for the in person. So open yourself to that kind of opportunity. You never know that what will bring you. You amaze yourself that really 51 countries. It's like a dream or something like that. I need to pinch myself some days, but it's certainly possible because the technologies nowadays, just like Sean mentioned, is certainly more advanced and is more user friendly than in the past. So I think the way to get started is you need to believe that your message can help other people. Your story can inspire other people. I would say don't aim to inspire people. Do what you love and do it so well, and have the intention to help other people, to provide a value, is certainly will set you apart from other people that just do it because they want to do it and they don't know what they aim for. For me, whatever the story, whatever the expertise that you love to do, and you believe that it would help other people, just make your decision to do it, and it start from there.
Well said. It was something that I had to overcome as well also, where, some people have this feeling oftentimes that they may not know enough about any given topic to feel like they can speak about it in front of an audience and teach others, so to speak. But what we don't realize over time, and I eventually realized this, I imagine you probably went through something similar, is that, with the things that we are passionate about, we are often diving into those in much greater detail than the vast majority of anyone else. And then when someone wants to know more about that topic, more often than not, there are a multitude of things that we can share with them for them to learn more about it. And they would consider us to be experts, right? Sometimes we may not consider ourselves experts or feel like we're experts, but to all of those folks, we are, right? So whatever topic you're most passionate about, chances are you have some really valuable information to share with folks that want to know more about it. So look for opportunities to speak about those topics in which you're passionate that overlap with the value proposition for your business. And I think those are great next steps. So thank you for sharing, Jit. Thank you for being here. And a couple questions for you before we let you go. The first one is, are there any resources that you would share with our audience where they can go to learn more about either what we talked about here today or anything else related to your work or anything you'd recommend?
Absolutely. So I think one of the resources that start the goal book, right? That one would certainly help you to familiar with the operation management, some kind of theory of constraints, or the way that, Alex Rogo fight to save his plants. And, it also related to real life, because he almost lost his marriage and all that because he was working so much, here and there. And it's certainly, there are some wisdom in there, both for in life and career as well. So I know people that, you need to work in order to, provide for the family and all that. But sometimes, you cannot really separate between the personal and career, because you work for them and you love them and you want to keep them happy as well. So I think that is part of it. It's sold on internet. You can, check on Amazon or some places that as well. And, the bookstore nowadays, I think I went to the bookstore to get my copy in order to get Alex Rocco to sign his name on the book for me that day. But that's before pandemic. And I think it's open back up now. So you can have that at your local bookstore and all that as well. And for other things, for the supply chain, if you want to learn more about supply chain and what we can help, check out our website, World Wide Web Supply Chain Advisor .com. And about speaking opportunity, you can reach out to Sean. He know in that area more than me, really. But those kind of opportunities are certainly there, and the resources of the book. If you want more book or you want more resources, feel free to Sean and to me. I'm certainly happy to share with you directly as well.
Thank you, Jit. And the last question I have for you is, who should reach out to you and how can they get in touch?
Absolutely. So who should reach out to me is you have curiosity mind like me, want to know what supply chain can help your business save money and providing the profit that you don't even know that you can get it out from your supply chain. Let me know. Small and medium-sized companies, sometimes they don't have the supply chain people or the function. If you curious, what you can do with your company if you don't really have people that graduate, or you cannot afford to hire people at the time, let me know. Reach out to me. I certainly happy to answer your question. A medium-sized company and a corporate certainly have different issues, or the supply chain and the way that they manage the operations and all that. Happy to let you know, and just reach out to Sean and to myself directly. So happy to answer you for that.
And what's the best way to get in contact with you? Do you have any preferred kind of communication preferences?
Absolutely. I check my email more than taking the call. So my email is website, supplychainadvisor.com, jit.hinchman@supplychainadvisor.com with an E. So let me know, or reach out to Sean. He's right here. So
Very good, and will do. Thank you, Jit, and thank you so much for being here and sharing your knowledge and experience with myself and our audience.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, Sean.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Consulting Trap. If you have a suggestion for a future episode, or you would like to be a guest on our show, please send me an email at sean@podcastchef.com. That's Sean, SEAN, @podcastchef.com. PODCASTCHEF.com. Before we go, we'd like to thank the sponsor of our show, Podcast Chef. Podcast Chef helps turn ordinary podcasting into a revenue-generating lead magnet for your consulting business. Our Podcasting Done For You service takes away the headache of starting up and running your own podcast. Reach out now to take advantage of our 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit us at podcastchef.com to find out how our team of experts can help you leverage podcasting to take your consulting business to the next level.